Welcome everyone. Good morning, good evening. This call I'm uh, taking from India. So uh, I'm in the same time zone finally as most of the people on this call. And our guest today is Sanjay Subramanian. And the topic is one that is going to be, I've written enough about it on the community. So you already have a sense, but I don't think any of us are prepared for uh, the the next 1 hour. It's going to be something that I truly believe will make an impact in our thinking, because it definitely did for my thinking. Seeing Sanjay's journey over the last many years. I've known Sanjay for a long, long time, but I'll get more into that in a few minutes. Let me quickly go through the usual um, stuff. Please ask your questions. Sanjay has a hard stop at 10 o'clock India time, so we will make sure we try and get done a minute or two before that. Uh, if you're not already a member of the community, consider joining it. Here's the QR code, and Sneha will also put the link which she has just put to join the community if you want. The 12-week program with Dr. Saurabh Sane is down to its last week. Next Wednesday will be the last session on deadlifts. The completed topics are all there. If you've missed previous sessions, make sure to watch the videos in the Strength and Mobility group. And again, Sneha has put a link to the Strength and Mobility group. This time, this Sunday, 24th May, at from 4:30 to 6:30, we are having our first ever in-person community meetup in our Pune office. We've got about 50 odd people who already signed up, and we're trying to keep it to not no more than 60 at the most, because that's all we have space for. So if you want to grab the last few seats, just send us a note on the community, and we'll make sure you get added. The RSVP number is there. So, Sneha, if you can just put the RSVP WhatsApp number in the comments, people who want to join it can just send in their availability. Okay, it should be a fun conversation. There's a lot of really, really cool, fun, constructive conversations planned. So, if you can make it, if you're in Pune, 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. Sunday, make it. Next week, our speaker is Dr. Madhu Shetty. She's an oncologist, radiation oncologist, and she also is running her own company based on her learnings, treating a lot of cancer patients. And it's called Balmier. And again, should be a very interesting conversation. So if you are available, definitely join this session. All right. Our speaker for today is Sanjay. And I've known Sanjay, I don't know, maybe for about 25 years or so. Um, and while Sanjay's journey has been, and the first part of his journey has been like many of ours, um, studied in India. In his case, he was slightly smarter than us, and so he went to IIT and did the things that an engineer does. Went to the US, and life was moving along swimmingly. And then what happened next is what this conversation is all about. But more than anything else, the reason I was so excited to get Sanjay on this podcast was because his is the type of journey that we all need to listen to, hear, and because the one thing that is missing in this world is hope. And very often, especially when it comes to cancer, the moment the C word is used, it leads to a lot of tension. And so his journey has been something that I think will be very, very fascinating for all of us to listen to and see what we can learn from. So without further ado, Sanjay, welcome to the community podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Nikhil. Beautifully put and actually real. Good morning, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good day, everyone.
Sanjay, your voice is suddenly very distinct. I don't know whether it's my network or yours. It's
Hold on. Let me actually see if I can get a hardwired connection.
Can someone on the community just let me know whether it's my issue or Sanjay's?
No,
It's us.
it's with
We
Sanjay's
all
end.
can enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Anu's already scared of your voice.
Oops, one sec. Okay, I'm back. All right. It seems to have a life of its own. Okay, okay. Is sorry, I don't know what's happening. It's like
You want
it's
to, Sanjay, join from your phone just in case the.
yeah. Let me actually do that. Let me do that. System seems to be shutting down on its own. Sorry about it. Am I still on?
You're on.
Okay. Yeah. I think it works. If it doesn't work, then I'll join back in the phone. I'm actually not joining on the phone because the call to Stanford has to be from that phone. So I can't make out if the call is coming in. But yeah, let's just begin. Yeah.
Well, Sanjay, we can barely hear your voice. It's coming across very jumbled.
Uh, okay. Let me join from my phone. Hold on.
And now you're on mute, Sanjay. If you get off mute, I think we'll hopefully. Yeah, you'll have to get off mute, Sanjay.
Okay, how about now?
Yeah, now we can
Okay,
hear you.
check. Yeah. So sorry, everyone. I should have checked all this, but yeah, let's actually begin.
Yeah.
Um,
So, so Sanjay, let's start with the setting the stage. You are in your professional career, things are going great. For many of you might not know, Sanjay is also a very, very good musician. He composes great music. His songs are on, I think, on iTunes, right, Sanjay?
yeah, they're on Spotify, iTunes. Yeah.
Spotify, yeah. So we'll make sure to put a link to Sanjay's bio and his music in the where on Spotify you can listen to his music. But here is your life going great, and then can you tell us how that first news was given to you?
Yeah. So, well, as Nikhil said, yes, we were actually a good friend of mine and we left the company we were working in, and we started a machine learning kind of a consulting company back in 2017 in May, with the hope of we wanted to do some projects for the government and Department of Justice, and we were like filling out tenders, and it was a good time. We wanted to do something really good and do projects. And then as this was going, we actually got called to DC, and there was a couple of meetings with vendors, and you know how encouraging it is for like two small guys sitting in California to be called to Department of Justice meeting with the tender and the applicants and all that, and to convince them that hey, two people can do the job. But and then it came to December, and then around November, December, I started having these pretty uncomfortable backaches.
What year was that, Sanjay?
2017.
17.
Yeah, almost, wow, 9 years ago. So it's it started with a backache. Went to my PCP, the usual Tylenol Calo, Crocin Calo, acetaminophen Calo, one of these things. And then of course I ate that and nothing was happening. Um, I don't do very well with Brufen and those kind of medicines because they upset the stomach. So it started becoming more and more to a point where I was not able to sleep at night. I would be like roaming around in the house at 2 a.m. because I could lie down. The moment I lie down, within half an hour, the hurt to start. In fact, my wife Nandita once told me, क्या कर रहे हो 2 बजे घूम क्यों रहे हो तुम? Like, what's going on? And I said, no, it hurts a lot. But went back to the PCP and nothing was really happening. We spent a month going back and forth. And so in literal desperation, in December, I have a good friend, Dr. Mani Subramanian, in the Bay Area. He's a non-practicing doctor, and his wife, Dr. Aruna Subramanian, she is a professor of infectious diseases at Stanford, and she's a infectious diseases doctor as well. So I wrote to her just casually, 6:30 in the morning. Hey Aruna, hey Mani, I've been having this really bad backaches for like a month. What do you think? And within 5 minutes, I got a call from them. They were on their way to their work, and Aruna said, "P.S. You got to meet me tomorrow." Or P.S. is my kind of name from college and school. So P.S. Without any delay, I have to see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. Don't call, just show up. I said, okay, sure. So I showed up. And she did the usual, chest X-rays and back X-rays to see like if there's anything. Actually, chest X-rays. She thought it was um, uh, what's oh God, I'm blanking on that. What's that thing which we get in our TB? She thought it was
Hmm.
TB.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And the first test was actually a false positive, and it showed that I had TB. And then she went to, I think it's called the interferon test or something, which was scheduled the same day. And then in the evening, she told me, "Nay, it's not TB. So I'm going to send you to a rheumatologist the next day." So I went to Dr. Shah, Sheetal Shah in Stanford. I mean, literally, the moment I walked into her office, she looks at me and says, "I don't think I have anything here because you don't have, rheumatoid arthritis or anything." I mean, she was looking at me walking in and like, just by the body movement. And she, said like, she said like, "Describe your day." And I said, "Yeah, I work, play the guitar." She said, "If you're doing all that, there's nothing wrong with your things." But she said, "You know what? Now that you've come in, let's do a full CT scan, abdomen, chest, pelvis." And then I said, "Cool, why not? One more scan, right?" So we did that. And then I went home. She didn't prescribe anything really. And then at 10 o'clock in the night, Aruna calls up, Dr. Aruna Subramanian, um, who everybody used to think when I used to go meet her, then, "Oh, you're Aruna's brother, right? I'll tell her that you're here." So I used to get that extra special treatment at Stanford. Um, she said, "P.S., are you home?" Or I said, "Yeah, I'm home. Um, can you sit down and call Nandita as well and put it on speaker?" I said, "Wow, okay." I mean, I was not nervous, but ye kya ho raha hai? That kind of a feeling. I never went beyond A and B, and I didn't go to C. I was still thinking A या B, kya hoga? And then she said, "It doesn't look good. You've got a 14 centimeter tumor in your left kidney, which is pretty big size. And that explains, it's actually a very mechanical reason why you're getting your back aches, is because this huge ball is basically pressing against your back when you lie down. And when you get up, the weight shifts somewhere else. And that's why you feel okay when you get up and when you're lying down." So literally, that was my first reaction. I didn't know what to say. So, of course, me being me, I said, "Yeah, but it may not be malignant, right?" I mean, how do you know it's not it's malignant or not before testing it. She said, yes. Theoretically, before testing it, I cannot conclusively say 100% that it's malignant. But from my experience, it's 99% malignant, but we're going to go ahead and start doing those tests. I had no clue what to do, who to call, what to do, how to like. I mean, I think to explain it very simply, we've all dealt with a doctor, got a stomach ache, fever, flu, body ache. But if you have cancer, what kind of questions am I thinking in my mind? What am I asking? But anyway, so Dr. Aruna Subramanian made it very simple for us. She actually literally went desk to desk and got my PET CT scan in shape, like appointment ready for that, got my biopsy appointment ready, and also talked to Dr. Sandhya Srinivas, fondly called Dr. Sandy Srinivas, my oncologist, and now my philosopher, guide, doctor, and older sister at Stanford, and made sure that in the next 18 days, all of these things were in line so that in about 2 weeks, I would go and sit in front of Dr. Sandy Srinivas and she would have all the information to start the next stage. So the next 2 weeks were just a flurry of scans and hospitals. And I mean, I would just go in and say, yeah, what do we need to do today? Okay, PET CT scan. Okay, drink this, wait for some time. Anyway, all that got done. Um, and we were, of course, I got into the My Health system, and it was, the biopsy came that it is cancer. And then on January 18th to 2018, I remember the date very clearly. We were sitting in Dr. Sandy Srinivas's office she's a urology oncology specialist, and just waiting for her to come in. And, at that requisite time, Dr. Srinivas walks in. I mean, she gives that impression of a professor, right? She knows what she's doing. She comes in and she says, as you know, you have a 14 centimeter tumor on your left kidney. It's a renal cell carcinoma. It's 4 stage, very aggressive. And we are giving a 1 year max time for this. What I didn't realize is what that 1 year max is actually 1 year to like end of life. I still have it in my notes. And the first question I asked in the room with Nandita sitting there is 2018 a leap year or a non-leap year? Because leap year would mean like I'll get 1 more day to live, It's weird, right? How the mind thinks. You kind of want to like latch on to every possible corner of the shore, right? So, so I said, and of course, my very, very dear friend Ganpati was there. I think he was God sent. He's my classmate from IIT Madras, and I acknowledge him at every breath I take because he was there for literally every cancer appointment, every procedure, everything. You know, he was with me, and he even went and met my parents in Pune when I couldn't go. So yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about him. So definitely want to mention that. Um, and then Dr. Sandy said, "Do you have any questions?" I said, "I don't know what to ask. Literally don't know what to ask." So she said, "We know how to we to proceed in these situations. So we're going to do targeted chemotherapy. You're going to be on cabozantinib starting tomorrow, and then we're going to start with 20 milligrams, step it up to 40 milligrams in 2 weeks, and then to 60 in 3 weeks." That sounded pretty easy to me. Okay, cool. So I went back home and, of course, got the medicines, got it started next day. And of course, for 3, 4 days, I was saying, wow, chemotherapy seems easy. I mean, why are people like feeling this and that? And then on the fifth day, all hell broke loose. Like I got up and I found these, blood oozing from different places in the body and sores. And I said, I can't swallow anything. My mouth was full of sores. And I said, shit, this is what it's going to be. And I mean, I think that is when I realized that, oh my God, this is going to be a long haul. This is going to be a really long haul. And, and then the challenges started. I couldn't put my foot down. Between my toes, all these bleeding started. So I called up Dr. Srinivas, and of course, she halted the medicine. So there was nothing like stopping the medicine, right? You halt the medicine, your symptoms become a little better, you kind of are able to get back to shape a little bit, and then they push the medicine again on you. So there's no respite there. But you got to kind of, I what I learned very quickly is, don't worry about कितना दिन लगने वाला है, क्या होने वाला है, एक साल के बाद क्या होगा. I said today is Thursday. आज थोड़ा अच्छा लग रहा है. Let's just enjoy the day. कल का कल देख लेंगे. So this aspect, I think we've been taught this many times in life, in school, and all. Focus on today, and you'll go to all these management seminars, paying like thousands of rupees and learning that, oh, live for the present. You know, chamakta nahi tha. You never understood what that means. But I think this is where I want to kind of step aside a little bit and focus on the importance of adversity in life. This is the time when you start thinking about, oh, why? Like I've been a good guy all my life, and why is the universe punishing me? And um, all those thoughts start coming. Actually, many thoughts come, and the other thought which comes is, I'm the only kid to my parents. If I die before they do, how will they be taken care of, and what's going to happen? And there are no answers to this, right? I mean, if you die before your parents do, what do you do? You're not there to figure out what's going to happen. But somewhere along the way, when, my friend Guns made that visit to India and came back, and he actually stayed with my parents for a day, and I realized that literally you have zero control over your life. Zero. It's not even 10% and 5%. And people who say, you'll hear this from many people. Oh, I'm king of the world. I'm self made. I'm doing this, doing that. Nothing can stop me. Everything can be stopped in 1 second, you know, and it's all over. And that's the one thing I realized, that you have to submit yourself to the situation. You have to submit yourself to the situation, to the universe, saying that, hey, you know what? I've done good things in life. And when I'm going through a bad phase, and if I'm not there tomorrow, somebody will step in and help me out. That belief is actually very hard to have. But that's the one takeaway I got from my first cancer. That you know what? You can't plan this. You can't plan how your parents are going to be taken care of. What's going to happen to your wife and kids? How will, Parth, my oldest son, how college education, what's going to happen to the money? Arjun is still in school. I mean, my youngest son Arjun was about 14 years old, just getting 14 when I got my first thing. And when I look back now, that guy was unfazed, and I wonder how. I keep asking him today, like how did you do all your running, and you were getting gold medals and running, and 800 meters, getting a 2 minute 02 second timing, and getting all straight A's, and how did you do that? Didn't this worry you? And he used to say, yeah, it worried me, but I knew you'll get better. Wow. Just a thought. So I started thinking about hope, right? What is hope? So if you really analyze, and in my analysis, I mean, I'm a believer in God, and my mom taught me a lot of prayers when I was a kid. So I say those prayers every day, Ganesh mantra, Gayatri mantra, Hanuman Chalisa, all of these prayers. And I realized that if you really generalize it in your mind, God and hope are actually two sides of the same coin. You know, it's some people may think God is abstract. So when you pray for hope, it's actually literally the same thing, right? I mean, what you're hoping is it's a very dark tunnel. This is a visualization, right? You're entering a dark tunnel, not knowing where it ends. And hope is the amount of light at any given point in time you're able to see at the end. If you see little light, there's less hope. If you start seeing more light, there's more hope. Um, One of the things which really surprised me at that time is when I got diagnosed, my friend Dr. Mani Subramanian, Aruna's husband, he called me, and he's also a big philosopher and guide for me and go-to person for anything which happens to me. He did not talk about the size of the tumor, or he did not talk about the diagnosis. He just asked me one question. He said, "PS, do you know Hanuman Chalisa?" I said, "Wow." I said, "I know Hanuman Chalisa, but I haven't learned it to memorize it and say it." He said, "Why don't you start learning that tomorrow?" And I'm thinking, here is a doctor who's, man of science and worked in the genome project back in NIH in the 90s. And his first statement to me is, "Do you know the Hanuman Chalisa?" So I'm a person who kind of questions, but a lot of time doesn't question, takes things at face value and says, "You know what? I don't know the Hanuman Chalisa. So you know what? I'm going to start learning it." So I started, got the book. I started reciting it every day, and it started feeling good. I have to admit, it started feeling really good because there's something powerful about the way Tulsidas has written that. It reads like a beautiful story, and it's all about getting your inner strength to fight the battles you're faced with in front of you. And if Hanuman Chalisa gives you that strength, so be it. I think the point is not, "अरे ये सब पढ़ने से कुछ नहीं होता है." You'll hear this a lot of people saying that. I think that's not the right approach. The right approach is, hey, if you feel confident reading this, go ahead. It is not anything different from, tying these around your wrist. It's the same thing, you know. So hope is a very central concept when you're faced with an adversity of any kind. The second very, very significant thing I wanted to share with you is what my mother told me. I refer to her as Amma. So I called her, and after a few days, I kind of, because I didn't want to hide this information from my dad and mom in Pune, because I used to call them twice a day, half an hour video calls on FaceTime. And if I suddenly don't call for a few days, I mean, once or twice you can lie, saying, "Oh, I was busy with this, busy with that." But you can't keep lying for months together. So I mustered up the courage and I told my parents that, "Hey, remember those backaches I used to get last month? I've got some good news and bad news. So let me tell you the, good news. The good news is we know what the reason is." So my mom and dad were very happy. "Oh, you know what the reason is? That's great." So I said the bad news is it's a tumor which is not innocuous. So I made it very complicated to communicate that message. Okay. So I didn't say it's a cancer. I didn't use the word malignant. So I just said it's not innocuous. And I left it to them to figure it out. And it took them 3 days to figure out that, oh, is it malignant? After 3 days, they asked me this question. And of course, I said yes. But I said the doctor is great, therapy is going on, and I'll be all right. I didn't want to show fear to my parents because their fear factor would be completely correlated to the fear they see on my face. If they see I'm not scared, they're not going to be scared. If they see I'm like nervous, they're going to be nervous. So I said, you know what? I have to say that I'm okay. Um, so that was that. But what my mother told me next is, I think, a biggest lesson for me, and I want to share that. My mother said, I mean, this is verbatim, okay, in Tamil, but I'll translate it to English. She said, "You're my son, and I do feel very, very bad that you're going through such a challenge and a pain, physical and mental. But let me tell you one thing. There are at least 1,000 people today who are in 100x worse situations than you are. Okay? People, young people going to battle, coming back with blown arms and legs and no life after that. Your life is still much better than that. So, what I want you to do in your prayers, I want you to pray more for them. That's what I want you to do. I mean, I did not know how to process this. Because I think maybe I was looking for sympathy from my mother, and the first reaction was like, "ये क्या बोल रही है यार, mom?" I mean, मैं तो सोच रहा था कि अरे बेटा तुम्हें क्या हो गया and all. And this was like the exact opposite. This was like a Lalita Pawar response, as a mother. And like, I was like, no. But then, I took the time next day when I was praying and I said, nahi yaar, that is true, that is very true. I need to think about others. It's not just me, you know. And when I started doing that, your pain actually, becomes irrelevant. And I will share something from the present, why a situation like that is very important. So I have a very dear friend of mine. Um, he's my senior from IIT Madras. Great musician. We played together. The last time we played together on stage was 2023 December, where I noticed that his right hand was hurting a lot while playing the keyboards. And a month later, he was diagnosed with ALS. And in less than 2 years, less than a little over 2 years now, he is reduced to a state of a wheelchair, can't talk, can't breathe well, cannot eat on his own, and we don't know how much time he has. Okay. That is a very, very, very difficult situation. I go to meet him every, week, carry my guitar, play songs, and like just one thing I don't do is talk about health with him. I never ask him how you're feeling because I know the answer to that question. And I used to hate that. I don't like the using the word hate, but I used to hate that when people ask me that during my cancer journey. Hey, how are you feeling? I'm thinking, of course, shitty, man. But I used to smile and say, yeah, okay, I'm feeling better today. So I think one of the things I learned through my own adversity is when people are going through adversity, don't discuss their health with them. This is not a this is not a bulletin board discussion. Distract the person. Talk about, hey, did you listen to any music? Or talk about something which he or she likes. Like, I love the Beatles, I kind of have Beatles in me. So Gans used to come and say, hey, PS, I was thinking about you. I was listening to the song and, how you used to play it in IIT. And just that 5 minutes used to make me feel very good. But there was a lesson in that, which I learned. And I said, you know what? Maybe we should just talk about the good things which make people happy. Like if you, I know most of you must have seen The Sound of Music, and you remember the song My Favorite Things. It's a very philosophical song. You know, it talks about when things are going bad, you think about your favorite things, you think about your favorite people, you think about your favorite songs, you think about your favorite moments. And then Julie Andrews says, and then when I think about those things, I don't feel so bad. Now, it's a song, but you can take it as a philosophical guide for your life, you know? I mean, for me, music has always been a philosophical guidance. So I'm just sharing that with you, you know? These are all
Yeah.
thoughts which go. I'll pause for any questions up till now, so
Yeah.
that
No, no, Sanjay, I think we could keep listening, but I know because you have limited time on the in this call, I want to talk about a couple of other things, and we can
sure,
always come back. Whether I mean the philosophy is at the end of the day what many of us can take away, and this
right,
now you've imprinted this song in my mind. I've always heard it, but I never heard of it. Heard the song in the way you just described it,
right,
and I think it's amazing. This, hey, we'll all take away that one thing for sure, amongst many other things. um, you know, in the process, I think it was during this first bout with cancer, that is that when it sort of broke down your pancreas and you suffered from type 1 diabetes, or did that happen in the second one?
yes, no, no, the first one,
So can you talk a little bit uh, about how the cancer treatment treated the cancer? You did get out of it,
right.
but it left you with T1D, and then what? And then how did that transition? At what point did you find about the next bout?
Sure, sure. So the chemotherapy worked for 5 months and it stopped. And I was very lucky. In 2018, there was a Nobel Prize awarded for immunotherapy. Um, to James Allison and the Japanese scientist, and I quickly got put on immunotherapy, basically nivolumab, and so there are two medicines, Yervoy and Opdivo. So I got put on that, and I was on treatment for about 18 months before they surgically removed my left kidney with a tumor. And then I started getting better a month later. And then I realized I'm feeling very tired in the mornings, you know. And of course, the first thought was, oh my God, is this back? You know. And then I went to the ER, and then they found that my blood glucose is 500. And that explained the tiredness. And it was in the evening, and then, Dr. Basina, who's an endocrinologist at Stanford, she came in and she said, you have become type 1D, and the reason is because the medicine Opdivo, 1% of the people who are treated, their pancreas gets killed by that. So the thing is basically like, in a nutshell, the immunotherapy medicine Opdivo thinks that the pancreas is expressing similar, PD1, PDL1 kind of, the ligands. I may be saying the medical term wrong, and then it goes and like just shuts it down and kills it. So basically, I had lost my pancreas function, and I was not willing to accept that time, but it was never going to come back. So and then I got, and then the doctor taught me like, oh, you got to be taking insulin, and then I had the pen and everything. And so the one thing in life which really helped me through all this is I've always learned, I love to learn new things. So when the doctor was saying, I'll show you how to use the needle and put the insulin in your stomach, I said, okay, wow, something new to learn. Okay. And then, I had the Libre sensor that time, and then those times you had to actually scan the thing to get the thing. And I had uh, I had the pens. I had a long-acting insulin, Tujo in the night, short-acting insulin, and then I had this 8 units for this and that, and the control was not very good, I would say. Um, Mainly because if you had to scan to find out, sometimes you forgot, and it was very reactive in the sense I would feel like completely faint as if something is happening. Um, oh, Sorry, guys, 1 second, okay?
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
join back. Yeah. Um,
Okay. So while Sanjay is joining back, he has a hard stop because he has an appointment with his oncologist in another 18 minutes. So if there are any questions or comments, please share them in the chat window. There is just so much more to talk to him about. I'm pretty sure we won't get through even half of what the plan was, but uh, if there are questions, we'll do that first and then maybe bring him back because part two of his journey was even more eye-opening for me personally. How he had to advocate for himself. We keep talking about advocating for yourself. He had to advocate for himself um, for that second phase, and it almost a movie could be made just about his second phase of his cancer. But well, we'll wait for him to get back. Nadia?
Hey, Nikhil, you think we would get him back again, though, for to listen to a second part of his journey?
Yeah, yeah. He's been very generous with his time. I'm quite sure. And in fact, when he joins back, that's the first question I want to ask him before we
Okay.
continue.
Awesome.
Because,
That was going to be my question, too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
He's quite amazing guy.
yeah. Hi, Sanjay.
Sorry, folks, that was Sandy's office. Just there's always a pre-call, so I apologize. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, Sanjay, before you continue, I know you only have limited 17 more minutes, but there's already a request for you to please accept and agree to a second session because we are not going to get through all the story. I was saying that you're on your second phase, you could make a movie out of just the second phase of your cancer journey, right? And so, would you be as generous with your time as you've been today and give us 1 more hour at some point in the future? Near
You know
future.
me, Nikhil. Nikhil, you
I
know me.
know.
Happy to, happy to.
I
Always,
already I
always.
already committed on your behalf, but I had to at least ask.
Arey, nahi, nahi. I mean, let's be like the way we used to be in India, right? Yeah, no, no,
Exactly.
happy to,
So
happy to.
lovely. So there we have a commitment from Sanjay. So that's on. So sorry, Sanjay, go ahead. So you were talking about um, where
Yeah,
you know,
I just realized the T1D, and
yeah.
then it was not really working well, you know. The A1C was like 8.1, and it was not really in control. Though I tried to be in control, you know. I was abstaining from eating so many things and all that. And that's one thing I realized. I'm like my Nanaji. I can stand on one leg and I can be sitting at a table where all of you are eating ice cream sundaes and I won't even blink an eyelid. That's the way
And
I
I'm like the other person on the table. I'll eat the ice cream Sunday, and I can never think about standing on one leg.
am. So anyway, but I can tell you that just that control does help in type 1 diabetes and in general in anything. So fast forward to the landing of a technology called Omnipod and the G6 Dexcom. So I kind of got the Dexcom sensor, which replaced the Libre. I still have the G6 10-day sensor. I'm a very late adopter. I don't go to the latest and greatest because I travel so much to India. I don't want any mishaps happening when I'm not in the US. And then I think the game changer, very frankly, folks, was the Omnipod automatic pump. Okay. So that communicates with the Dexcom G6 sensor, as you know, and you can read about it. I don't want to illustrate
Sanjay, I just
that.
want to, just for the audience, I just want to provide some context. What Sanjay is talking about is the pump that Sanjay is referring to is the insulin pump, and the Dexcom is a continuous glucose monitor. And the simple way to think about it is the continuous glucose monitor is giving you a real-time signal on how your blood glucose is changing, and the insulin pump takes that data from the blood glucose and decides how much insulin to pump at different. So it's all happening automatically. It's not something manually he has to do. He goes about Sanjay goes about his daily life, and in the background, The measurements are being made, and the pump is using the measurements to control the amount of insulin that has to be pumped into the system.
Right. Absolutely right. I couldn't have said it better. Thank you. The only thing is, you still have to bolus. Bolus is when you're eating a meal. Prior to that, you got to like calculate like how much of insulin you'll need. And sometimes the Omnipod insulin pump can also help you with that, based on whether the blood sugar is going up, going down, is flat, and all that. But you have to have an idea. So if you're eating one chapati and some dal and some this, that looks like 45 grams of carbs. And the trick is it's C plus P over 2. If you're eating proteins, you half it for your carbs and you add it to the carbs. So if you're eating 40 grams of carbs and 20 grams of protein, so it's actually 50 grams of carbs you got to provide insulin for. Um, that's because like also the extra insulin helps as an extended help because proteins will raise the sugar later, you know. Um, so statistically, and I know like I think Nikhil was the first person I messaged this to. 2 months after using the Omnipod insulin pump, my sugar, which was usually 45% in range over the day, ranges between 70 and 180. After the insulin pump, went up to 79% in range, which is a huge jump. And the way the pump really works is obviously you don't need insulin when your blood sugar is going low. Thank God it shouldn't pump that time. But when it starts going up, that's the beauty of that pump. The moment it crosses 150, it will start injecting 0.25 units. Wait for 10 minutes. Oh, it's still going up. Another 0.25 units. Oh, it's stabilized. 0.15 unit. Oh, it started to come down. 0.05 units. And then stable. So it kind of, the curve goes up and then it starts like, stabilizing. So to Nikhil's point, I think that is where the game changer thing happened. But again, you got to do certain notes of your own. You got to help the technology help you. It's not that aankh band karke machine pehen liya and everything will be okay. You got to also kind of work with the system. So I can share this with you next time. Over the last 6 years, I have a bolus cheat sheet which I've made. Parle Gluco biscuit contains 4 grams of carbs. One roti got from this store in Pleasanton that contains 12 grams of carbs. Trader Joe's bread, which is like sesame seed wala, is like 15 grams of carbs. So I know this now. Dates contains 32 grams of carbs, one date.
Dates.
Dates, yeah, yeah. So if you have like 5 dates, that's 150 grams. That's a huge carb load. Rajma, by weight, it's like huge amount of carbs. I mean, rajma is absolutely a no-no for me. I can't eat rajma. I can't eat dosa. I can't eat idlis, of course. I can eat all of those, but I got to follow it up with like a 4 mile walk. So here is the trick, right? You can, as a type 1 diabetic, you can eat anything you like, but you should be able to walk about 4, 5 miles after that. So typically what I do is I treat myself to an ice cream at the dairy here. I obviously we don't buy packaged ice creams and keep it in the fridge. So if I go to the ice cream shop, buy the ice cream, and walk back home 3 miles, just eating that medium softy double scoop, the sugar will go from like a 85, 90 to over 150, stay steady, and then go back to 120 by the time I reach home. Now it's like a reward system, right? You don't eat ice cream whenever you feel like watching TV, but you have it once a month. And I can tell you, you got to believe me. Just take my word for it, okay? That one ice cream feels like heaven, okay? I mean, I can't even tell you. And it's just a plain vanilla ice cream, but it's so beautiful. So, in a sense, that one ice cream which you get a month feels like Jannat mil gaya. But I think that's the point of life. That is what amplifies your happiness in general, you know. So that's one part about that. The second thing is the bolus sheet I talked about. I'm happy to share that. I can send it to Nikhil and he can publish it to you people. Um, I think after that, it was like what I realized is anytime you eat at home, irrespective of what you eat, kanda bhaji, cauliflower pakoda and oil, it doesn't matter. If it's made at home fresh, the blood sugar will not spike. Go figure. I don't know what the reason is. I'm only telling you my empirical experiences. If I eat the same thing in a restaurant, hell breaks loose. So what did I do? I don't usually eat at restaurants nowadays. Or I have very selective restaurants. Tried and tested two things which I can eat there, or four things I can eat there. I eat there. Or I play it very safe. You know, like maybe I take a chicken or something and then like fish and I'm good. So when folks ask me, they're always surprised. Hey, can we meet up at this place and have lunch? I said, dude, I've never gone there. I don't know. I can't, you know. I think we're nearing the time, but we have 7 minutes, so I'll continue. But is there any question anyone has at this point I could answer?
I mean, there are a lot of comments, Sanjay, about how people are getting inspired listening to your journey. Uh, I don't see a question, just lots of very, very amazing comments. And I'm sure you can see them in the comment section, Sanjay, right? If you just click on the chat
Uh,
box at the
yeah,
bottom right.
I actually on my phone, I don't know where it is, but
I'll
thank you
send you the
everybody. Yeah, thank you
I'll
everyone.
send you the
Yeah,
comments. And
yeah.
they're very, very, I mean, I think this, you've really inspired a lot of people. In fact, I think Kamal even said he's going to now learn to recite the Hanuman Chalisa. So,
You
yeah,
know, I very strongly recommend that to everyone. I mean, I don't mean to I don't mean to say negatively about atheists or anybody in this conversation, but there is something beautiful about the way that poetry has been written or that song has been written, you know. So just for my sake, just try to read it every day. You know, I think it really brings out that hope and determination inside you, you know. Like,
yeah,
I mean, there is a sentence in that, right? भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे महावीर जब नाम सुनावे, which means none of these bhoot and pishach and bad elements will come near the moment you say the name of Mahavir, which is Hanuman, you know, which is, you know, Hanuman, as you know, is a part of Shiva. So you know, it's what you believe, you know. Anyway, I'll go back to the science.
yeah.
Um, so
So,
I think
Sanjay, I know I don't want to necessarily keep you all the way to the end. What I do want to just set as a stage for the next conversation,
sure.
because I want people to know what it is that is still coming. So, 2017, you were diagnosed. By the time you are done with your chemo and you're in remission, it's 2019
2019 July, yeah.
and in July, right? And then uh, but now from there on, you are dealing with T1, type 1 diabetes,
Hmm.
which you're constantly dealing with from then.
Yes.
When were you diagnosed the next time?
Yeah, 2024 April 10th.
Yeah.
I yeah, go ahead.
Now, I remember you telling me that, and because I don't want to set the stage. We don't have time to do much more since I would like you to get off the call a little bit, couple of minutes rather than the last minute. But I want to set the stage for Sandy, the doctor who has sort of has been your savior, who
Right.
has, and in the process, you've built a great relationship. You called her your elder sister.
Yes.
And she, from all the stories I've ever heard from you, she is so close to you. She really views you as a younger brother. You send her updates on every song, and it's a different relationship. And
Yes.
then 2024, when you get diagnosed, this doctor who's been your rock, okay, her first reaction when she finds out is you can see on her face that this is not good,
Yes.
right? And I think the fact that, when you get this second diagnosis, the person you look to give you hope and strength can't hide. However much she wants to hide, she can't hide the fact
Yes.
that this time is the goose is cooked.
Yes. Yes. And, that really scared me. We were in a room. Both my sons, Arjun and Parth, were there. Nandita was there, my wife. And Sandy came in. It was again like a 14 centimeter extension. No, no, actually, it was about uh, 6 centimeters in my peritoneum nodes. And I've never seen Dr. Srinivas so wow, how did this happen? How did this come back? And I think Nikhil is right. My rock itself was shaking. And I didn't know what to do. I said, what do we do? She said, I don't know whether the old treatment will work. There's a new phase 1 trial going on in New York City in Sloan Kettering. We should talk to the investigator, principal investigator there. So 1 month was actually spent in trying to contact this investigator, talk to Dana Farber, Harvard Medical School for the oncology, Dr. Alluri, his name is, and a few other doctors. But then all these 3 doctors we talked to independently concurred that looks like a duck, walks like a duck, smells like one. We need to go back to the same treatment. And I
Yeah.
think that was the killer decision.
Yeah. And
And
so,
yeah.
on that note, I want to let you go, Sanjay,
Mhm.
because I think this starts a whole 1 hour journey just on talking about this. Because to me, every part of the journey has been mind boggling, but what happened next is what truly uh, has made me think about many things differently. And so, I just want the community to show their love to you, Sanjay, for so openly reliving your trauma, because now you're a source of inspiration and positivity to so many people. And it can't be easy to have to relive, those negative feelings, but you've converted them into positivity. And I think that is amazing.
Thank you very much. I think the more you share, the lighter you feel. So that's why I do it.
Yeah.
So,
No,
yeah.
lovely.
Okay,
Sanjay,
I am going to
thank
leave.
you.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you so much, everyone. Thank you for your time. I know it's late in India, but have a good night, and we'll see you soon.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you all.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
Nikhil. Yeah, thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Sanjay.
Bye.
Bye.